Hey everyone.
Hi all.
Hello.
This
It's so harder to start a podcast on a live stream than it is
yeah.
record.
It's a lot of countdowns.
Yeah,
There are a lot of countdowns.
The fact there's an actual countdown makes it really hard. I feel like, I need to say something.
I know. It's just because we had to do
podcast
this
title, man. It's so good.
It's just because we had to do like okay, and 3, 2, 1, go, record. Okay, everyone, 3, 2, 1, clap. Okay, everything's silent. Ready? We're going to move over to this. It's just
now I've got my podcast face on. What we should say is after the week we've had, please check out our Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
And
wow, no hesitation.
So
we used to be like, no. Yeah,
we've promised Dan Tripp that we were going to get this in early and not forget about it. So I'm doing it now before I forget about it.
I am chief catalyst of the Push the Point podcast.
So he's such a taskmaster as well.
Yeah.
So what we should say is, please check out our Patreon if you would like to. They get benefits such as playsets of Herald of Rebirth. So that's just the most recent.
We've got some spares, haven't we?
Not many, because we gave like all of them.
And we are going to be doing a bit of a playmat raffle for patrons. So
yeah, there's still time to jump in for that, isn't there?
Yeah, there's still time.
All right, awesome. We haven't discussed the date of when we're going to do this. Are we going to do one? We're going to do one tonight.
No.
This is usually something that I should be worried about, and I'm setting myself up here. But okay, we'll do it another time.
Yeah, well, we want to give people a chance to join potentially as patrons, so they can get in on the playmat giveaway.
We don't have to do the Eclipse one, right? We could just do. We
have to do the Eclipse one. I think that's the first one we should give away.
No, we can't. No one will be bothered about that.
Right? I think of all of them, if we didn't give that one away, I think that would be the greatest tragedy.
I still think we should rate it down to the tier list, and I don't know about you, but I think there is a tier list.
I am a Push the Point patron, so there's a chance that I could win
your second map.
It might be re-rolled.
I would have course re-rolled.
So just before we move on from the Patreon bit, I would like to give a shout out to one of our patrons who amazingly came and found me at the Pro Tour in New Jersey and appeared out of nowhere with a cooler, like a freezer bag full of 4 cans of beer from his local breweries.
Wow.
So thank you, Mike Popowich. You made our whole day, and Tripp and I. No, you weren't there. Tripp and I enjoyed those 4 beers with friends while drafting Arcane Rising. On Sunday night after the whole event had finished. It was so good. It was just
quite a surreal draft where I was playing against Kieran from Session Blood with Matt Rogers standing over my shoulder watching me play. It's probably the most stressful game of Flesh and Blood I've ever played. And most enjoyable game of Flesh and Blood I've ever played.
Did you win?
Yeah, I did.
The look on Tripp's face was absolutely priceless. He looked like he was about to self-combust at times. Like
I felt like I was in the final of the Pro Tour.
The thought process there was incredible.
Yeah.
So I can imagine we're going to be unpacking, detoxing, unwinding your awesome day at Pro Tour. So it's going to be very much. I'm just going to be sitting back and going, yes. I'm not jealous.
I don't know, Hamish. You had a pretty good day at a ProQuest back here in the UK.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I went.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I'll brief it down a bit, and then we can just unpack with everything else. So all your time was clearly. I mean, I wasn't jealous.
Of course, what we did was better in every way, but there was still value to your experience.
Your existence is still valid.
Yeah, important to us.
Thanks a bunch.
To be fair, no. To credit where credit's due, you did get while we were away. You did get the interview.
I was
sorted.
Very busy week that was, but anyway. Normally, what's our home news? We always got to do a bit of home news. What's
I mean,
you guys went away. How was everything when you got back? Were you missed? Did they have a list of jobs? What was what?
Yeah, the kids actually did miss me, and I got big hugs when I got back. Which was quite nice. I know. No, she also missed me. So
I'm sure she missed you as well.
I'm sure she did. Welcome home. You have got.
Here are 2 kids.
I'm going out. Bye.
Here are all the jobs to do. Yeah.
I think Kate missed me. Did you miss me, Kate? Yeah, she says yes.
Oh.
She said she was also busy, which means no, she didn't notice I was gone for most of the time.
Awesome, man.
Classic.
What was my home news? I feel like a lot of stuff did happen, but apart from that, I have ran out of bird feed and I'm struggling about it.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
What haven't you for bird feed?
Well, I haven't took up your advice about the fat balls, so
why not?
No, I just
Definitely.
haven't.
Fat balls are the way forward, man.
That's what the birds want.
Well, they don't want. Again, they don't want mine.
Didn't even register that.
The gift that keeps on giving.
When you're ashamed of yourself.
I'm not.
Tripp's got the fat balls that birds want.
Oh god.
London fat balls, mate. Tasty.
Oh. Let's move swiftly on.
So I hear that Hamish might actually have a beer that's worth talking about. Tell us, Hamish, what are you drinking tonight?
Okay, so we had my family round, and they brought a variety of different beers, not for anyone in particular. So I've got a Brewdog Nitro Jet Black.
Oh, that's a really good, actually.
It's a stout, and I don't really like stout, but it's got vanilla and oatmeal in it, so I'm like, well,
that Jet Black Heart is a very tasty stout.
Right. Well, I'll tell you. Well, we'll see. I've got a backup Foster's. Because
you're killing me.
That's that. I'm sorry. I'm not. I've got one quality.
You've taken a step up, and then in one foul swoop, it's just gone.
It's a left and a right, mate. Got to keep them guessing. What about you? What are you drinking, Simon?
I am living vicariously through you tonight, Hamish. So please try and enjoy the stout because.
You've moved away. Oh, what have you? Please tell me that's not water.
I'm on call for work, so I could.
You could have had a beer line.
I didn't have any in. Yeah, I can't really have beer anyway.
You can't disappear.
I could have had it.
I
might have to.
Oh god!
You can't leave.
Magic. It's magic.
Just have an empty chair.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
Bring your wife in. See if she wants to be on stream.
She's not taken to it as well as Faye and Kate, to be fair. So she doesn't like the publicity.
You'll just see Faye rocking up in a spotty dressing gown. Or
I was going to say, if you see the dressing gown.
What about you, Tripp? Were you wild card Tripp, the most famous man in America?
Well, I wanted to celebrate. I wanted to celebrate the Spanish winner of the Pro Tour, right? So the only Spanish beer I could find was San Miguel.
San Miguel.
And then I googled it, and apparently it's from the Philippines originally, but it's now from Spain. And this particular can was brewed in Northampton. So that's a lot, yeah, in the big, the one.
Oh my god!
But it's the thought that
it's been brewed in. It's probably brewed in. It's probably brewed in the Carlsberg thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's brewed and canned by UK Carlsberg Limited.
Now you know.
I do like that factory though; it looks cool. Anyway,
are you joking? It's hideous.
Oh well, it's got a very Fallout new vibe.
It's right. It's Northampton.
Fallout.
I reckon in a post-apocalyptic world, this would be a great place to hang out.
Exactly. It'll probably give
Fallout Northampton.
Fallout, the latest release. Yeah. Anyway, cheers, guys.
Cheers. All right. Okay. Time to sip. Smells. Looks like a can of milkshake.
You have to pour it into a glass. It's got like a widget in it.
What?
It's got a nitro widget in it. You need to pour it into a glass so you get the Guinness like head on it.
You don't know what you're doing, do you, mate?
Oh man!
All right. Simon, tell the audience what they need while I get a
I
glass.
swear this happens a lot recently, where for some reason Hamish has to leave because he's fucked something up, and we use the time for Simon to tell us what's going on.
Simon, what's going on?
So, Tripp and I are going to regale you with stories from the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Then we'll have a bit of a Q&A session / interview, depending on where and when you are listening. And then we're going to finish off with a look at how the ProQuest 2 season has been going and how it might look going forward.
Also known
Welcome
as
back, Hamish.
ProQuest Season 1, but we'll get onto that later.
Welcome back, Hamish.
Do you have to tip it like this, or
well, not the glass? Well, yeah, the glass, but
just pour the can.
45 degree. Yeah, do it.
I think you can just turn it up ways, and the thing will do the job for you. Do it on camera. Come on, show the people. Just turn it right up. Just the can. Just go pour it all in all at once. There we go. Job's done. Yeah.
There you go.
Not the most exciting thing I've ever seen in my life, but it'll do.
This looks like a can of Coke, but
looks good though.
Does look good. Looks tasty. Chunks will be happy. The spiritual stout drinker of the Push to Point podcast.
Yeah.
You're not a fan, are you? Look at that face.
It's you know when you're at when you're at a beer festival and you're like, oh, I guess this will do.
you realise you should have got a half.
Or a third.
I guess I've got to finish this, and you'll end up more drunk because of it.
It makes the next one taste better, though. So it's silver lining.
Look at him. It just looks like someone who's not enjoying life. Okay, so I want to take you back about 10 days, 11 days to Dan Tripp and my arrival in New Jersey.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
which is interesting because we did arrive on different days.
I was going to say my arrival in New Jersey and my meeting up with Tripp in New Jersey and our adventure to the banquet, the Pro Tour banquet on a Thursday night at the Pro Tour.
Oh, yeah.
What were your first impressions when you walked through the convention center, the exposition center for that trip?
Yeah, my impressions were it's very dark in here. It was quite dark. It was lit by candles. I thought this is a bit of a fire hazard, but I didn't say anything at the time. And I thought there was a lot of people here, and it turned out that there was a lot more people in the following days. But at that point, I was like, "This is a lot of people here to play." Well, not at that point to play, but here to talk about Fab. And my other impressions is that Simon Denning is an absolute demon when it comes to networking, because he was just grabbing people left, right, and center, just like knowing everyone's names, or the people we'd interviewed, or the people at LSS. You grabbed James White while he was holding a bag full of sealed Uprising.
That was exciting.
Very quickly he was like, I've got to get out of here before I get mobbed.
So James, he's like, just ran.
I just sort of positioned myself in the way of his direction of walking and grabbed him and said, Simon, we're from Push to Point.
I'm proud of you, Simon, because I remember having no hope that Tripp was going to do this. And I thought Simon was like, I don't know. And then I was like, yeah, just do it, just grab him. And then you literally just went, right, that's the brief.
Simon's it was like watching a master at work. I was just there in awe, just like
I didn't quite go as far as getting interviews with everyone, but I just want to shout out people I went and said hello to at the banquet, especially Fluke and Box, James White, Alan Hale. You're really not enjoying that, are you, Hamish? Rudy.
I'm going to carry on. You saw Rudy?
Rudy said hello to Rudy. St. Hung was there.
Yeah.
Matt DeMarco, we obviously handed over very important cargo that had been promised by Hamish for UK flake bars.
Did he
had a chat with
He really did.
So excited.
Genuinely. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So excited. Tannen was really lovely to speak to, and the list goes on. It was just great. Oh,
Just before we move on, Simon, I would like to shout out all the people that I talked to at the banquet.
Yeah. I bet you saying that was
so anyway, Simon, continue.
No, so there was the biggest shout out.
Is longer than my actual list.
The biggest shout out for the banquet and for the rest of the weekend actually was to Sasha Markovic, who, if you've listened to the podcast before, Sasha Markovic. He's never been on the podcast. Sasha used to work for LSS in a sort of business and development and management role. And when the UK community was in its infancy, and myself and other people like James were organising events for the UK community and trying to get things going, Sasha came to me, and he came to some of these events and encouraged what we were doing. And he gave us the UK community the spoiler.
Wow.
And that was a real show of faith in what we were doing, and it just encouraged us to push on. So being able to meet Sasha, and then obviously over the coming days to see him absolutely wreck face with a Kano deck that came out of nowhere was awesome. And the delight on his face throughout the 3 days that we were there was brilliant. So thank you, Sasha. It was a real pleasure to meet you, and all the best now that you're not working for LSS and competing on the Flesh and Blood Pro Tour.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember when Sasha came to that early starter tournament that you and James organised. It was really amazing because there were some people there that knew, because I think he just won one of the 10K early callings.
Yeah, and then started working for LSS.
Yeah, and I remember him saying he was like, I need to drop before the final round because I have to leave for work.
Yeah,
because obviously for him it was ridiculous, like 8 a.m. in the morning while we're just chilling in the evening in the UK. It was a really great sign of for me as a new player in the game to be like, well, this company, this employee at this company really cares about even the smallest level event, which really was what it was. It was one of a tiny event in the UK with a few international people at it, and it was a really good sign for the game. So I completely agree with what Simon said. Yeah, fantastic.
Wow. And then the banquet itself, there was loads of food. Actually, I wasn't expecting there to be an endless stream of food and drink, but it just kept going. It was really awesome. Capped off by, you've probably seen the videos already. Capped off by a Q&A from James White. And there was some really interesting tidbits of information there. Definitely looking forward to Worlds somewhere in the United States, wherever that might be, later on in the year. Hamish so struggling.
Oh no, I'm trying to think which is worse, listening to this amazing time you've had or drinking this shit.
Right, Hamish,
it's both quite bitter.
Is the stout worse or better than the comfortizer?
Oh, it's way worse. It's so shit. This is crap. This is like drinking coffee for the first time black, and you're like, eh. Ugh. Anyway, ignore me. Okay. I'm just comedy value. Carry on for your Pro Tour.
What I would say is the nerves and excitement and adrenaline on the first morning, Friday morning, the first pairings went out. Everyone was there for sort of 8:30. Sorry, I've missed a step out because the first thing that day on the Friday morning was Tripp and I walked in and got in line for the registration bit where you go and sign up. And Tripp turned to me and said, "Oh look, someone's got a Heart of Findle mat. That surely they can't have that. It's a fake mat." And then we realised that everyone was being given these Pro Tour specific Heart of Findle mats, and our minds just went mental. It was like, oh my god,
it was worth it just for that. Like, I know it's not like, it was just such a surprise, and like my immediate reaction was like, this can't be real.
Yeah,
someone's literally. I was like, they're gonna get that mat confiscated.
Yeah, like
that was my first immediate thought. Was it can't be that they're giving these out, and they were, and it was just like, this is incredible. It was just like one of those number one mat that I would want. It's just so cool.
It was just one of those moments where you're like, we had no idea that they were going to give away mats to all the participants.
It was just a once in a lifetime moment. You kind of had to be there, really.
Yeah, you just kind of had to be there. But
I realise on the podcast that will sound really arsey because they won't be able to see Hamish in the background.
I'm drinking every time they talk about these absolutely goddamn amazing moments. I'm drinking.
He's just it's like self punishment.
This is every time it's pretty bitter. I'm being carry on. This is quite funny.
Well, as another little aside, and in no way compares to the mat, but the little drinks that less than the drinks bottle we got was awesome as well. The Flesh and Blood branded drinks bottle with an action, drink water, stay hydrated, go again on it was just a nice little touch. But yeah, as I was saying, that the adrenaline and the excitement, getting ready for that first round and getting going was it was amazing. First time I've been to an event that size, and I was on a high throughout, as you may be able to tell from some of the shorts that I did.
Yeah, it was an amazing time, and I mean, I didn't do very well in the Pro Tour. Simon did pretty well day 1, made day 2, but that meant that I got to play in the calling, which was really fun. And I also took part in some of the side events, which was really good too. And it was just such a good day of a good weekend of, there was so much stuff for everyone to do, like irrespective of what you came for. There's so many side events. There was loads of stalls selling stuff, like decent stuff as well. And so many people to meet and chat to. Like every single game I played, I had such a good chat with the person after the game. Met people from all over America. Loads of Europeans were there, and it was just fantastic. And met a lot of fans of Push the Point as well. So to all the people that sort of recognized the hat, which I was wearing the whole time, just thanks for saying that you enjoyed the podcast and everything. It was really great to get that feedback from people from across the world, because we get it occasionally in the UK. I'll go to tournaments and people say they Push the Point, but hearing it from Americans and Europeans and from people all across the world, it's kind of crazy that this podcast is so international. We always say this because it feels very it's just something very natural.
Very humbling.
It's really humbling.
It's
It's surreal. It's such a mix of emotions. Yeah,
there are a lot of global players with Push the Point dice now, by the way.
Yeah,
that's
they roll well. What can we say?
Well, that's good, Simon, because when I went to I'll just a little pause there from the Pro Tour thing. While you guys were having a fantastic time, I went to a Pro Quest over in Dudley, which is called W&W Gaming. Probably got that wrong. Anyway, the best bit about that was that you guys weren't there when the UK Games Expo was on last year, but there was a dad and a son. I think I mentioned this last time in some podcast. I don't know what episode. There they are. The guys that I shown how to play the game at UK Games Expo last year is here at the Pro Quest, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And they were like, "Oh, you showed us how to play this game." And I was like, "Jesus, you're still here playing? I must have done a good." He said, "Yeah, we love this game."
So
and
good,
then they said,
awesome.
we listened to a couple of good podcasts. There's one I was like, "All right," and he was like, "Yeah, there's one of them that we really enjoy is Push the Point. They're really cool." And I was like, "That's mad," because they're like, "It's you," and I was like, "That's me."
It's you,
and that's me. And I went, "Have some dice."
Yeah,
and so I said, I'm meant to charge them, but I don't care. Have them.
Nah,
I was giving them away now at this point. Simon's gonna be, "You need to sell these." I'm like,
no, we were giving away.
Yeah, you can't. I think it's better to give them away. So yeah, it was sick. It was for me. It was I suppose while you guys were, getting all the international fun, it was kind of cool for really that I was able to go to somewhere I haven't been to and still sort of see that local thing going on at the same time. Flesh and Blood was really truly alive that weekend in big events to right down to the the local ProQuest events that were going on all in one weekend. It was hype about what was going on there. It was hype about what was going on in the Pro Tour. It was really cool. I think it was nice to sit on this side of the fence, knowing that I am jealous. I'm sorry, I wasn't jealous. I'm not jealous that you guys were there, but it was cool to sort of just capture that whole thing locally and internationally for our content. So I thought I'd just throw that in there while while I continue to listen to your amazing weekend.
Yeah, I think it was just there's not a. I mean, we could talk about this for hours, and we don't want to over talk about it. But I think my main takeaway from the entire experience was I just feel so inspired by the not so like I'm inspired by the game, but really I'm inspired by the community behind this game, and like how much people are building and creating and being inspired by the Flesh and Blood creative universe or cinematic universe, as it were. Like the cosplay that we saw and the content creators that are coming out of this game, just absolutely amazing. And it just really inspired. Like as soon as I got back from the Pro Tour, I just got stuck into making some new videos for my channel, because I just was like, I want to make some stuff again. Like it was just such an inspiring time. It was also quite intimidating, I think I would say, from a competitive point of view, because the standard is incredibly high, and we're starting to see the level of work and dedication, I think, or just skill that you can bring over from other TCGs that's required in order to compete at the very highest levels. And I think that was a bit of an eye-opening experience for quite a lot of people, actually, I would say. Not just I was quite aware of my particular level, but I think for a lot of people who might have been sort of big fish in their pond, it was quite an experience to move up to another level and see, wow, there's some really talented players at this game. And lastly, before I hand back over to Simon, I'm just so happy that a European won the Pro Tour. I just think we've always been saying,
Hamish called it.
I did.
There's a lot of talk in the community about, and I don't think this is necessarily fair, but maybe Europe not being the like primary demographic for Fab, and I think a lot of people were dissatisfied by the first European calling being a Blitz tournament, for example. I know a lot of European players weren't super happy about that, and I think, you know, we don't want to complain but ultimately I think that was the best way to show the global Flesh and Blood community that the European standard is incredibly high. And I think we actually won both the Pro Tour, the calling, and the Battle Hardened. I think the Battle Hardened as well. So it's really put the onus on America and Asia Pacific to compete with the Europeans. So that's really exciting.
I completely agree. I think Presto in the chat made a good point. I think this is more the content side of things. You know, lots of names that are competing in America. And I felt that. I don't know whether it's even just the Twitter space. You know what I mean? When you see the names, they're always you get caught in a bit of a echo chamber in a way. But yeah, I was over the moon to see Europe sort of storm in, and then everyone wasn't really counting Europe as a continent to really show faith. I wouldn't have been shocked if an American won, just purely because of the numbers. You know, numbers push through sometimes, but in the end, knowing that the European continent, you know, Spain and Poland, you know, particularly, took it from the calling and the Pro Tour. It made the whole thing so much more interesting. I think it spiced it up a little bit. You know, when you see The Rock not win, oh god, this match is more memorable because the guy, you know, the continent you thought was going to take it didn't. So
I also just want to shout out the Polish team
Team Poland,
jersey. Like their outfit was amazing, and I'm very really jealous. Cool? It was very cool. I just think they just looked like incredible. So well done.
They had special frostbite tokens. They had three. They had three different frostbite tokens made up with different pictures on, and they were giving them out. If you played a Team Poland player, you not always, but you often got one. So I came home with 2 of the 3. They're awesome. They're see if I can find one while we talk. But just little things like that. You mentioned numbers, Hamish, and it was obviously on US soil.
Of course. I mean, it was going to be there.
But it did feel like overwhelmingly American in terms of like numbers being there. And when you look at the number of people playing the game, the US just outdoes everyone.
Well,
So
they would. The market's insane.
So for anyone watching on the stream, I have two Frostbite tokens from Team Poland.
That's awesome, man. It's very play the game, see the world, visit Poland.
Yeah, they were great.
Did they have a partnership with the Polish tourist board or something? I'd love to. I've never been to Poland. I would love to go.
Just while I've got my little special cards out, we did get the chance to pick up an errated Briar, Warden of Thorns promo, which is coming out in the next armory kit. There's no foiling on there. It's just a double-sided errated token.
Wait a minute. Have they changed the border?
No, it is
because I never
lightning and earth border.
Yeah, it's always been like that.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Yeah.
I also want to give a shout out to Mara from Blackwing Art for these awesome tokens.
What are they for? Moonshine, cool. Soul Shackle, that's really cool. And
the Frostbite,
cool.
Super nice alt art. So Blackwing Art on Twitter.
Yeah.
Sorry, Blackwing Studio on Twitter. And then finally, if anyone's aware of Fab TCG Cards, an online store in the US, they also did some alt art tokens, and they were very kind enough to give us a playmat, which went down very well.
Runechant.
Oh, I didn't see those.
No, they're sick. I like them.
I got a set of those. So thank you to Fab TCG Cards. They were brilliant.
I like these. I like these fan service stuff. There, they used to do that with a lot of Fantasy Flight games that I used to play, like Netrunner and Conquest, L5R, and Game of Thrones. The community just developed their own little sort of token sets and stuff, and it really just helped push the game.
It was really good,
really creative. I didn't really see. I know Fab's done a bit of it, but it's cool to see that that's now starting to probably be pushed out more. It probably is. It's just something I haven't noticed a lot, but yeah, it's really cool to see that.
One thing I did notice, and I should probably Tripp and I noticed this when we were, whether it was because of what was going on in the Pro Tour or otherwise. What we did notice is when we were playing in the Pro Tour, we had very few people on the Pro Tour side of the competition say hello and like, we love the podcast. But we noticed that Steelfur, our friend Finbar, was getting a lot of discussion about his content on the Pro Tour side. As soon as Tripp went to the calling and to the side events, like every player he played against was like, I love the podcast. You guys are amazing.
What is this?
And then
we're not insinuating anything.
In the battle hardened, it was the same, right? So everyone was coming up and saying,
"So are you telling me that we are not that we're not Pro Tour worthy?"
What we're saying is that we think
we are by the people for the people.
We love our audience, and thank you for saying such
honestly,
nice things to us.
And look, Simon, you say that, and there's a spin on this. So you
I'm not saying it means anything.
No, it doesn't. If it does, I think it says a lot. It says a lot. How many people went to the Pro Tour? How many people went to the calling? And if everyone's approaching you about the calling, just saying. Oh wait, Jason's got it right. Our demographic is casual alcoholics.
That's not what I was saying, but yeah, probably right.
Put that on the tagline. That's another set where we're not getting a spoiler thanks to that comment.
Spoiler-free podcast.
Spoiler-free, yeah. Set number 5, spoiler-free, people.
Right, so just to wrap up the Pro Tour, I mean, we could go on and on and on and on and on. Everything from the banquet at the beginning to the competition.
Imagine going all the way to New Jersey and never winning a game and dropping. I mean, who would do that?
What?
No one here did that.
What?
Didn't you just go 0-3 drop?
What?
I mean, he won games in the calling.
Yeah.
I went the Pro Tour. You go all the way to the Pro Tour. You went, right. And a face said to me,
this is peak Hamish jealousy, right? This is peak Hamish jealousy right now, because he's just trying to, like, Dan Tripp did his best and turned up and played a deck he absolutely loved.
Yeah.
And he really enjoyed it. And then
it was fun.
And then he jumped to Starvo the next day. But that's not the point. The point is,
I enjoy playing Starvo as well.
How
many
games of
Starvo did you win, Hamish, when you played Starvo that one time? at the ProQuest.
Won. Beat Rob Catton.
Oh, well done. Did you didn't do very well though, did you?
Did you go 5 and 3?
I took Kel McCree's list.
Yeah, very sad.
I won 2 games.
Did you have trouble reading the cards? Because it's quite tough sometimes when it's like, does it say ice or?
Oh wow!
Did you? Are you insinuating my ProQuest event yesterday?
You have to reveal them as well. That's tough. Remembering at the start of the turn. Yeah,
look,
it's difficult stuff.
I don't know all my colours of the crayons.
Yeah, tough, man. Really hard. Really hard.
Oh. Faye did say to me, "How's Tripp doing?"
I did not do well. No,
he said,
"But you know,
I
did. I did as well as I deserved."
Really I was gutted for you. I was gutted for you. But come on, man, you can't walk away.
I feel whenever I feel bad, I just go look at my Heart of Find on that, and then it feels good.
It feels better.
You win. But I'm telling you now, if I wasn't doing very well, you'd be throwing that straight in there. Look at this guy.
Yeah, of course I would.
Yeah, no.
I must say, finishing 7-7. Like, if you'd have offered that to me before the Pro Tour started, I would have absolutely bitten your hand off.
You didn't even get top 100, Simon. So
I came top 3rd, so it doesn't matter.
You made day 2, right? That's pretty good.
So
that's not that hard, is it?
Tournament fatigue is
pretty hard.
Every time I sort of felt good about where I was sitting, whether it's like 3-1 or 6-3 or 7-5, like every time I felt good about it, I just got knocked back down a peg. And as Tripp said, the level of competition was phenomenal. But almost every single person there won a ProQuest, right? I don't know how many people were there on XP.
Well, not everyone.
Nearly, most people though, right?
There's a lot of people there on ProQuest wins, and the level of competition was out of this world. But it did reinforce over the 2 days that when Worlds comes around, if I have the opportunity to go, I will be there.
Some people got legacy invites,
Yeah, XP, right?
Yeah,
that's what XP.
The legacy. That's what Brenda would call it. Boomer invite.
Yeah,
Boomer
invite. I can't even get that. I've been playing longer than Tripp, and I can't even start. I can't even claim that.
You want to do some questions from the chat now? Because otherwise, I feel like Hamish is going to devolve into jealous monster green eyes.
What? He's going to. We actually have a question that's very relevant to what we're talking about. So should we do some? So anyone in the chat, if you want to ask a question, we'll try and cover it. But I want to cover a question from the real RJ, which is very relevant to what we're talking about, because it is: do you feel that it is okay that Pro Tour will have XP invites again, given that most people who play at the Pro Tour, I guess that's the previous Pro Tour, will have earned more XP than most can over normal events? So I think there's kind of 2 questions there. Firstly, how do we feel about XP, having XP invites again? And secondly, do we feel that, like, because people are able to get XP at the Pro Tour, they have an unfair advantage over everyone else?
That's a good question.
You've still got to win games to get the XP, right? And winning in that environment is a lot harder than, say, skirmishes which give more XP. So because the Pro Tour and calling give a higher level of elo rating, they actually only give 3 XP per win, and the skirmishes and the ProQuest and the battle hardened give a lower level of elo rating or none, and 6 XP per win. So actually, by grinding your ProQuests locally and your skirmishes locally, you stand a better chance of getting in the top 100 for XP. So I think what the real question here, though, is: do we think that having XP as a way to get into the Pro Tour 2 is valid? And my answer would be, right now, I think yes. I think for this year, as a year when elo rating events have been so scarce for the European players, I think actually having an XP invite system works well.
Yeah, I think what Simon's saying, this is maybe slightly more controversial and is 100% shooting myself in the foot, but I actually think that they shouldn't be using the lifetime XP for Pro Tour invites, which is ironic because that's how I got in. But I think being able to stay at the top of the 90-day XP is actually quite an impressive feat, and does require winning a lot of games. While the lifetime one is just, if you've been playing the game for 2 years solidly non-stop, then yeah, you're probably going to be up there, right? It's starting to change. Like I've noticed it's shifting a bit. It's harder to stay within the top 100 harder than it used to be.
Yeah.
But I think that 90-day is probably fine for XP, and I would actually be okay with them keeping 90-day alongside Elo. But who knows? I think ultimately Elo is the right move, but it's not the right thing right now. I don't think that there's always been this thing where certain territories will have a natural advantage in XP brackets. Like for example, for the last Pro Tour, we were really lucky in the UK because we actually had a battle hardened within the qualification of the last Pro Tour, which was really useful for us qualifying on lifetime XP. But then again, over in America, they have a battle hardened calling every other Monday, so it's a tricky one. Hopefully this is a problem we won't have for too much longer, and we'll be able to shift to Elo, and I think that will be the fairest thing.
Yeah. Hamish, any last thoughts on that one?
No, I kind of agree with Tripp on that. I do want to sort of state that these ProQuests are rated events. Yeah. So I'm a little bit like, think me over. Surely the results that you get from these ProQuest events could kind of reflect the standings on, maybe because they do break down the ELO in countries as well, so they could quite simply say, you know, the top 10 of each, you know, you've got whatever on that, and then I don't know. I just feel like if they're going to use the ELO rating in ProQuest, they could probably try and find a creative way to implement it in the Pro Tour rather than sticking with XP. It's mainly for me is that there are a subset of people which is probably not meeting LSS's well, it's not quota, standards or ethos. That's the word, ethos, of going to your local store and playing. There's quite a lot of people that can't get to local stores and they play quite a lot, like on their kitchen table or in other settings, and they still go to events and to play and so on and so forth. I think there's those sort of players that don't meet. You can't really make anyone overtly happy, but XP does support the person that doesn't have much of stuff going on at home, but they can just go to 2-3 armories a week and go to as many pro quests as they can, and it's just the XP.
This feeds into another question though. Another James Armstrong. What do you guys think about the accelerated event schedule? There seem to be almost too many events to play now. So obviously we've seen ProQuest Season 1, Skirmish Season 4, Pro Tour, ProQuest Season 2. We've got, I think, another Skirmish Season, and then Road to National Season in July. And then I would have thought we've got Uprising pre-release coming up. We've got National Season in October, Worlds in November. What do we think about this condensed schedule? Do we think this is sustainable every year? Do you think people are going to have to pick and choose which events they're going to go to?
Yeah, so the main issue with this at the moment is because XP is so valuable, everyone feels like they need to play events all the time. So like I'm in that position at the moment where I'm like, well, I could get an invite to Pro Tour 2 if I finish in the top 100, so I'm going to try and play as many events as possible. When we move over to ELO, it won't be as much of an issue. You don't need to farm skirmishes if ELO is a thing, which is what you can do at the moment to secure your Pro Tour invite, which is perfectly fine. It's what they're there for at the moment. So it's kind of a problem coming out of the XP system where if you want to go to the Pro Tour and you don't think you can win a Pro Quest, you need to play all of these events and you feel like you should. Now, when that goes away, there hopefully won't be as much of an incentive for you to play every single event that comes along. And that should ease things up. And is there too many events? maybe. Like I'd rather have too many than too few. Like all three of us come from the dark days of Fab where there was no events.
No.
And like I'm very wary of I'm very wary of saying we have too much because I'm ecstatic and I go towards them. So
I think it's one of those things where if they started to put in ELO rating stuff, like the more events you go to, you're kind of also got to weigh up a little bit of like if you just have a bad day at an event, you know, it does hit. You know, you like it's not. You know, if you went to all the ProQuest events and went right, I kind of like 3-3. Both, you know, I had one good day, didn't get to the final, had a really bad day one other day, and that really bad day is going to reflect on what that really good day was. So you kind of got to sort of weigh up what your events are. But whenever it's just experience points allowed, there's no downside. It is if you've got time and money, you will win. Like more so than one person that just went. I've only got like, for example, me. You know, I've got things on and I've got a family. I've got room for like 1 or 2 road to nationals or ProQuests in me, and that's also depending on locality as well. I don't have time to go to 4. You know, it feels like if you're not going to 4, you're not going to. You have this feeling, is it going to make any dent or impact? I've got to try and make the most out of these 2. But if you had 2 good days of playing and your ELO record went with that, you kind of just walk away from all this going, no, I'm actually really happy with this. You know, you can't lose what you don't go to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think there's something a lot to say to that. And I think maybe people will probably look at these events and feel less FOMO kicks in and more performance.
You can be a bit more
day.
picky. Yeah, you can be a bit more picky and choose which events you go to rather than trying to go to every single one around.
Exactly. And
exactly.
Surely performance is like a good performance should reflect on you as a player. You know, you can have good days and bad days and so on, but
we also have the issue at the moment that you can come second in a ProQuest and basically walk away with nothing. You know, you get your tunic sleeves. Because your ELO isn't being used for anything at the moment, it's like I've got nothing out of this. Well, hopefully next year you go to a ProQuest, you come second. Sure, you missed out on the automatic invite, but you might have had enough of an ELO buff to do it. And then there's the other thing, which is if your ELO is good, sometimes it might be best to just not play an event because you might just get absolutely destroyed by random decks from players you've never played before, and suddenly you take a tanking.
Jackups has just put that in the chat. Actually, would there be ELO decay? And obviously, we don't know whether there will be an element of decay built into the system. But I would imagine if you are not playing certain number of events that season, or at least an event that season, then that might be a factor. Because you might see people protecting their ELO.
Yeah, I think there'll be a thing of where you would probably go, you know, if you didn't show up this season, you might get a bit of a knock on it. But even if you just go, you know what, I've got time for room for one, and then you're putting all your eggs in that one basket of you just have a crap day, you know, it's gonna suck. But you know, the offer's there. If you put in the work in behind, you know, you can go to all your armories and you can play. The fact that you're sitting there, you're bothering to play the hell out of this game to show up to this event and try and get a good day. Surely that's, you know, that shows passion. You know, in a different way. You don't have to be the guy that shows up to 3 armories to show that you've got passion for the game. I'm not that person because I can't, you know, but I've got passion about this game in abundance. You know, and it's just different ways to show it.
Yeah, totally. I'd like to see invite. So this is completely different, but like, I would love to see like LSS invest more in like the community of individuals. So people that contribute to the game outside of like playing it competitively and like inviting a set number of people to events and like giving them entry to things for free, like if they're like a community champion. So, you know, at the moment we have stuff around like giving community champion playmats out and stuff. I'd love to see them just like put up a couple of folks in like a the hotel for Worlds or Pro Tour 2 as just like we want you to be in the room because you've given so much to Flesh and Blood, even though you might not be the best player. And we're not saying, and this is not saying they should play in the Pro Tour. It's just my experience of the Pro Tour weekend is it was enriched by all the people who come to the game and aren't there to play in the Pro Tour. They're there to cosplay or to
the number of people that were accompanying friends or boyfriends, girlfriends, not even playing, just being there was such a boost to the event.
Just felt like a big festival. We said this before about callings and like just about it being like a festival of Flesh and Blood, and that atmosphere comes from having people that aren't stressed out of their minds trying to win the Pro Tour. Like everyone I met was super nice, but a lot of people are there to win, right? Like they got their heads in the tank, right? Like trying to win this thing, and it adds a depth to it, a breadth to the experience when there's individuals there who should be there because it's about Fab. But
well, we've got another question.
We've got one more question.
Jason,
so what are our thoughts on the current pricing structure for the events? And that is not including the Pro Tour. So I assume Jason is talking about the current ProQuest season, which for the top 8 you are given a box of Fyendale Spring Tunic sleeves, and for the winner you get a gold foil and a PTI.
Is it one of these?
Yeah, look at that.
Imagine going 5-0 in Swiss and
coming
losing
home with
top 8. Here's your complimentary.
They're really nice sleeves, I gotta say.
The main change that we've seen though,
I go to Worlds. These are my World sleeves. That's what I'm
doing. The main change we've seen though is instead of having cold foil heroes, we now got sleeves, and then there's no other prizing unless the store itself deems appropriate to give more prizing. So I think,
can I do a shout out in that instance?
Yeah.
So I'll do a shout out. Mana Screw did one yesterday, and their prizing was a booster first edition Crucible of War pack.
First edition.
Jeez.
Did you not hear about this, Si?
No, I missed it.
Yeah, seriously. Mana Screw gave everyone one booster pack of Crucible first edition. And you could take 4 packs from Tales of Aria, Monarch, and Everfest first edition.
Wow, amazing!
Just for going on top of.
Did you hear what was opened, Hamish?
Can we get a shard
from Crucible?
Yeah, someone got a courage.
Cold
foil courage from one pack.
That is insane.
That's where James got his bloody cold foil shard from, was Mana Screw.
Yeah, and that's where my friend Mikey got a cold foil
Stormstriders early in the day. Yeah.
I've also got 2 first edition Command and Conquers from that sealed event that
sold it already.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, CNC, woohoo! And now it's first edition. Woo! So that's what they did, and I think you're right. Store dependent. What are they going to do? This is what they do. But if it isn't, from what LSS's bare skeleton pricing is, basically it's nothing unless you hit top 8. Everyone's satisfied with the top 8 prizes. Is it as good as the last one? My answer is it's not as good as the last one, in my opinion. Sleeves are disposable by their nature, right? And then there's nothing about a box of sleeves that feels valuable. I don't know. That's just me.
I agree. Sleeves are not a permanent fixture, and actually to give away a consumable as the only real prize, unless you're going to keep the box sealed, which is not what they're intended for. I guess you could make that argument for cards as well, right? But it does feel a bit of a drop. However, I think players are well within their rights to either choose or not choose to go to events depending on pricing, if that is their priority. There will be many people that turn up to events just to compete, and they're not bothered about any other prize apart from that Pro Tour invite. So, yes, the pricing may have taken a step down, but actually, I think people are still attending the events. I think game stores are getting better at giving out boosters along with the prizing for participation. And I'm really excited. I'm going to use this as a segue because there's a big weekend coming up next weekend. And I'm really excited to go to the two events, the ProQuest 2 Season 2 events I'm going to next weekend, which is EHG Gaming in York and Living Realms in Castleford. And I know many people... Exactly. I know many people are doing that as a double header because it's a Saturday for York and a Sunday for Castleford. They're very close together. And both of those are giving out extra prizes for our participation and for the top 8. I think EHG are even doing things like having bounties on people. So there will be players in the field who are known within the community that if you beat that player, you get a booster pack automatically.
Now that is automatically very cool.
It's cool, isn't it?
That is cool. That is so cool. I love that. That's and you can even you'd even just see the store just go, here's your bounty. Yeah. This is your bounty picks for the day.
For the day. Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be really cool.
Oh, that's sick, man. I love that.
And then I know that Living Realms are putting up £1,000 in prizing across the top 8.
Jeez, that's really good, man. That is really cool.
So I think there are players can make their own decisions on where they go. What I would say is support your local game stores, because without them, you don't have access to local armories. You don't have access to product. Just make the right decisions. Go and play at your locals. Make bigger journeys for the bigger events and enjoy what we have at the moment, which I think is an incredible scene for this amazing game.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it going. Just keep it going.
What's your thoughts, Tripp?
Oh, thank God! I thought I wasn't going to be able to answer this question.
You not being able to come in.
Could you see how much I wanted to answer? Yeah. I was like, Simon's going to move on. I'm not going to be able to.
It's about time.
Trying to edit that one. Talk.
Yeah. We don't normally let them talk for too long, but every now and then. So I have a few ideas. Right. So I really like. I've never played Yu-Gi-Oh, and I never will because I think the game looks absolutely stupid. But I like the concept they have in that game, which is they have tournament packs. So they have a specific pack that you get for playing in official tournaments that have reprints and like cards in it. So I think that's a good idea. So you could print things like as a high rarity, you could reprint like Command and Conquer, and everyone who plays in the tournament gets like a pack, and it's got like 3 to 5 cards in it. And it could just be like a high chance of getting a Majestic, something like that. So rather than getting the store to give out product, you get a specific tournament pack with a changing rotation of rare cards in. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't mind sleeves. I actually prefer sleeves because to me, that's like I'm saving £10 on buying sleeves because I always buy sleeves. So I don't really mind that so much. Kind of glad we've gone off Cold 4 Heroes. I'd rather see Cold 4 Heroes be more accessible. I think it's dumb that you have to top 8 or top 4 a tournament to get your hero in cold foil. I think that should be way more accessible to the like whole community of players, because that just feels cool to have your favorite hero in cold foil. And I don't think it should be kind of like locked away behind performance of the tournament. I really liked it when you got heroes through like in box toppers. That happened in Welcome to Rave Unlimited and Arcane Unlimited, and then it disappeared forever.
No, they were cold foil weapons.
That is true.
Yeah,
so stuff like that, I think it's fun.
I thought that was sick. That was the only way you could get them as well.
Yeah, and the last thing I would do is for the top 8 cold foil tokens. Like it's so simple. I loved the cold foil copper they gave out as the skirmishes. That's so good. Like cold foil frostbite, cold foil embodiment of lightning, cold foil rune chants. Like people would love that kind of stuff. And
spectral shields are going to go.
And you don't mind getting a few of those because you always need a couple of tokens, right? Like I always try to bring 2 of each token in case I lose one. Like that seems like a really simple win for like top 8ing a tournament.
People.
I completely agree on that. I love that idea of the cold foil tokens because I think it's like equipment, isn't it? You're not shuffling any deck. You might or may not pull it. The fact that you can just go wham, you're like, oh, that's shiny.
Wow.
Like, cold foil weapons is like, that is really cool.
Yeah, I think stuff like that would be really good, and like Yeah, like I think there's some really interesting ideas that they could do for prizes. I don't think they've quite got it yet. I think it also, so I won't talk about this for too long. It really feels to me at the moment that the prizes you get for armories are better than what you get for like
the auras, the
yeah, like
auras.
the Coldfoot
and the
auras
anthology set
are amazing.
weapons. Yeah,
the mats are always really, really good. The mat for Pro Quest 1 was Tri-Shot, that famously played card. Like, what was that all about?
No, that was wild. But I still think it was kind of wild that the runner-up never got anything.
The runner-up also got a Tri-Shot mat, I think.
Yeah, exactly. The runner-up walked away with something. Now the runner-up walks away with same thing as 8th.
Yeah,
pretty weird sort of thing.
Just keep printing these iconic cards on playmats. Like in Skirmish, we had Scar for a Scar, Command and Conquer, Razor Reflex. These were such insane classic mats that I still see people using those mats as like their main mat because they look so good. And then they switched to Spring Tidings for the last Skirmish, which is
which sort of a Tri-Shot, which was like fine center mat, really.
Yeah, reprint these classic Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising cards on playmats. People absolutely love them. Like,
imagine seeing Rouse the Ancients.
Stuff like that.
That's a generic, like some really well-known generic or Sink Below. The generic
Sink Below would be great.
Yeah, Sink Below would be sick.
Whisper of the Oracle mat is great, actually.
Yes, and I'd love to see them they've got such amazing card art from the old game. Like, even simple stuff, like if you had like a ninja theme set, print something like, I don't know, like Hurricane kit, whatever it is.
What's that Flood of Technique? What's that new one from Everfest with the guys?
Break Tide.
Break Tide. That one is sick. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even if they just did Channel Mount Heroic as like.
They have done that.
I think that one might be out there.
That's
it's hard to find.
They did the maybe they didn't do the channels. They did the they did the channels. They did
the pulses.
They did the channels as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I know someone with a channel Thunderstep map as well.
But basically, for Pro Quests and Road to Nationals, I really want to see like generic cards on the mats. Like, imagine like you win a Pro Quest 1 with your favorite Prism deck, and then you get given an Azalea mat. It just didn't quite click, and I think they need to fix that up.
I noticed this at the Pro Tour, and it just triggered when Hamish said pulverize, because there were pulverized playmats at the Pro Tour. Like, you could go to the artist section, and they had their art on official Fab TCG playmats. And there was pulverize. There were the individual characters. So there was old and young Lexi. There was old and young Chain.
Oh, wow.
There was obviously Steve Argyle's section had the Viscerai mat and the Nebula Blade mat, which haven't been released otherwise. And you could get these mats signed for a very reasonable price. And it was a nice little nod to people that had turned up to these events and gone and stood in a queue for the artists. And I didn't buy a playmat. I've got way too many, but I did get some cards signed, and it was a really lovely experience to just watch and have a chat with the artists. And as we found from our interview last week, they've got so much knowledge and so much to give back to the community in terms of their processes and the passion that they imbue in these cards, that I really hope they continue to get artists along to these big events, because it was so good.
Cool. Well,
right.
Yeah,
we've been going quite a while.
But no, we're hitting the hour mark, and if you may have noticed as well, we may or may not have an interview coming up in the podcast. We're trying to work all that out going forward. But if not, I hope you've enjoyed an interview free podcast and just heard us ramble. Maybe. If not,
well, I've very much enjoyed this evening, gentlemen. So thank you very much for.
Yeah, it's been a good one. It's been a good chat, and I think it feels like we're in a good spot in the game. We're about to rotate out Starvo. We possibly will rotate out Chain. We've got 3. Possibly, we say we've got 3. Maybe we've got 4. Maybe we've got 5 new heroes joining in Uprising. Who knows until we get released?
It's 3. It's been confirmed.
No, it hasn't.
It's been confirmed that there's 3 heroes in draft. That doesn't mean that there won't be a 4th hero print in the
He said there's only 3
spot.
heroes in Uprising.
I'm
if
pretty
anyone
sure
wants bonus points,
he said
guess
there's
what I'm
only
going to
3
force
heroes.
in my pre-releases. So, you know.
But we'll see what happens. But I'm really looking forward to a refreshed meta. I'm really looking forward to new Ninja cards.
Absolutely.
And I would just let us know what you're looking forward to in the next coming months in Fab. There's so much stuff coming, you know, Classic Battles releases on Friday, lol. And then we've got Uprising and RTN dates have emerged, and there's so much stuff happening. It's mad, but we're going to be covering it here on Push to Point. So keep listening and keep following us, and we'll keep you updated.
Can't wait for what's hot, what's not when these
start
showing.
Oh, it's gonna be so good. We get to use the jingle again.
Oh yeah, I can actually try and find the jingle in. I can actually probably play the jingle. The chat will know the jingle.
Okay.
Anyway, right. Peace out, guys.
Peace. Bye.